Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast, and welcome to your Friday night Smackdown post-show. Starting off the night, man, we have Drew McIntyre coming out to the ring. He has a microphone in hand. Drew says that he prayed to be world champion. He also talks about bringing the fans together, but he also tells the fans, screw you. He also wonders where the fans were at this entire time. Drew then thanks himself for believing in himself and becoming world champion. He also mocks Rhodes. Drew then tells Rhodes that there is no rematch and that Rhodes has to go to the back of the line. Drew then also says that it is now his era. After this, Drew McIntyre is quickly interrupted by none other than Randy Orton. Orton comes out to the ring with microphone in hand, but Drew says that he assumes Orton is here to congratulate him on winning the Universal title. Instead, Orton says that he is not here to congratulate Drew McIntyre, but instead wants Drew McIntyre's Universal title. After that, Orton and McIntyre are both interrupted by none other than Jacob Fatu. Fatu then makes his way down to the ring. He quickly attacks Drew McIntyre, and then Drew runs off with the Universal Championship. After this, Randy Orton standing in the ring, but out of nowhere, Miz comes out of nowhere and hits a skull-crushing finale, laying out Randy Orton. So it looks like the Miz has some unfinished business with Randy Orton. And speaking of the Miz, we get to our first match of the night. It is a qualifying match for the Universal Championship. It is Randy Orton taking on the Miz. I thought this match was a decent match. Back and forth matchup between the Miz and Orton, with Miz hitting a back suplex on Orton on the announce table. After this, Orton and the Miz both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Orton hitting a power slam on Miz. Orton then hits 3 back suplexes on the Miz on the announce table on the outside, followed by Orton hitting a vintage DDT in the middle of the ring. Orton then goes for an RKO, but Miz counters it with a skull-crushing finale for a near fall, but Orton hits his signature RKO on the Miz, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match, and moving on in the tournament, if you want to call it that, or the Fatal 4-Way, is Randy Orton. Moving on from that, we got a tag team matchup between Julia and Kiana James taking on Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. I thought this was a good match. Back and forth matchup between both teams, with Flair and Bliss keeping the pace of the match. Julia then hits a running knee for a near fall, followed by Alexa hitting a Sister Abigail DDT, pins for the 3, and your winners of the match are Alexa Bliss and Charlotte Flair. But after the match, both Flair and Bliss are attacked by none other than Nia Jax and Lash Legend. Moving on from that, we got Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes comes out to the ring, grabs a microphone. Rhodes says that he wasn't just a company champion, but the people's champion. Rhodes then talks about going back-to-back, winning the Royal Rumble. Rhodes says that London also deserves a WrestleMania. That's got a huge ovation from the crowd. Rhodes then declares himself for the 2026 Royal Rumble. Rhodes then also talks about Jacob Fatu and lets Fatu know that he's got a receipt coming. Some interesting stuff there between Cody Rhodes and Jacob Fatu. Moving on from that, we have another number 1 contender qualifying matchup for the Universal Championship. It is Trick Williams taking on Matt Cardona. Again, I thought this was a good match. Back and forth matchup between Trick and Matt Cardona, with Trick Williams keeping the pace of the match. Cardona then hits a zigzag on Trick Williams in the middle of the ring for a near fall, but Trick Williams ends up hitting the finish on Cardona, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match, and moving on to the Fatal 4-Way at Saturday Night's Main Event, is Trick Williams. After the match, though, Kit Wilson is here. He walks right past Trick Williams and almost walks past Matt Cardona, but he quickly turns around and attacks Matt Cardona. So it looks like Kit Wilson has some unfinished business with Matt Cardona. Moving on from that, we have Jacob Fatu. Fatu comes out to the ring, quickly grabs a microphone. He calls out Cody Rhodes. Rhodes then comes out to the ring. Rhodes and Fatu both exchange in the middle of the ring. WWE security are here to break up Fatu and Rhodes, but an all-out brawl happens in the middle of the ring. Moving on from that, we have another Universal Championship qualifying matchup. It is Damian Priest taking on Solo Sikoa. Solo walks to the ring with the Wyatt 6 lantern that he got from Uncle Howdy. But the match itself, it was a decent match. Back and forth matchup between Priest and Sikoa. The MFTs then attack Priest ringside, but Solo Sikoa was trying to keep the pace of the match. Solo then hits a hip attack on Priest into the corner. Priest gets up, tries to get some offense in by hitting a heel kick on Solo Sikoa. Priest and Solo then both exchange in the middle of the ring with Tala Tonga attacking Damian Priest. Referee then sees this, he throws out Tala out of the match. Priest then hits an avalanche Razor's Edge on Solo for a near fall. Referee was distracted. Solo then hits a splash for a near fall. The lights go out, and then the Wyatt Six are here. The Wyatt Six attack the MFTs. This allowed Priest to hit a choke slam on Solo Sikoa, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match, and moving on to the Fatal 4-Way at Saturday Night's Main Event, is Damian Priest. After the match, though, you can see Howdy grabbing the lantern, but Tala Tonga attacks Uncle Howdy, and Solo takes back the Wyatt Six lantern. Looks like the MFTs and the Wyatt Six are far from being over. And moving on from that, we have a U.S. Open challenge. Carmelo Hayes defends the U.S. title against X-Division champion Leon Slater. Now, I thought this was by far the match of the night. It was a great match, back-and-forth matchup between Leon Slater and Carmelo Hayes, with Leon Slater keeping the pace of the match. Leon hits a springboard inverted Spanish fly on Carmelo Hayes. Both Leon and Carmelo Hayes both exchange in the middle of the ring, with Leon hitting a sidekick for a near fall. Leon then hits a Hurricane Rana into a pin for a near fall, followed by Leon hitting a senton over the ropes to the outside, taking out Carmelo Hayes. Hayes then tries to get some offense in by hitting a first 48 on Leon for a near fall, and then Hayes hits an avalanche cutter on Leon Slater, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match and still U.S. champion is Carmelo Hayes. Hats off to Carmelo Hayes for getting the win in this matchup. Moving on from that, we have Jordynne Grace taking on Chelsea Green. I thought this was a good match. Jade Cargill, who was ringside during this matchup, was watching on. Grace was keeping the pace of the match with Alba Fire attacking Jordynne Grace, but Grace ultimately hits a direct effect on Chelsea Green, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match is Jordynne Grace. Grace then grabs a microphone and tells Jade that she is coming for her and her women's championship. Grace then calls out Jade. Jade then gets into the ring. Green then goes to attack Jordynne Grace, but ends up missing and hits Jade Cargill, and Jade falls off the apron to the outside of the ring. So it looks like we have some unfinished business here between Jordynne Grace and Jade Cargill. And then moving on from that, we go into our main event of Friday Night SmackDown. It is a number 1 contendership tournament matchup for the Universal Championship. It is Dragunov taking on Sami Zayn. I thought it was a really good match, man. Back and forth matchup between Dragunov and Zayn, with Zayn and Dragunov both exchanging in the middle of the ring. Dragunov then hits a knee drop on Zayn, but Zayn tries to get some offense in by hitting a power bomb on Dragunov for a near fall. Dragunov then gets up, hits an enziguri, followed by a running headbutt on Sami Zayn. Dragunov then hits a power bomb, but Zayn gets some offense in by hitting an exploder suplex on Dragunov, followed by Zayn hitting his signature haluva kick on Dragunov, pins for the 3, and your winner of the match, and moving on to the Fatal 4-Way at Saturday Night's Main Event, is Sami Zayn. Hats off to Sami Zayn for getting the win in this matchup. A couple of things I want to talk about with you guys when it pertains to Friday Night SmackDown before I get the hell up out of here. Number 1, it wasn't a bad show. I think, honestly, yeah, I was a little skeptical with SmackDown going to 3 hours. I think a lot of us were, man, because the roster that they had at the time before the call-ups, before we got the likes of a Jordynne Grace, Matt Cardona, Trick Williams. I think a lot of people were kind of very nervous to see how SmackDown was going to play out on Friday night on SmackDown for 3 hours. And to be honest with you, I don't think they disappointed. Obviously, things could be a lot better than what they are. But the roster has gotten better. And we've gotten some more storylines. Now we have this situation here between Jacob Fatu and Cody Rhodes, which I do want to talk about with you guys first and foremost. Number 1, man, I stated this when Drew McIntyre had won the title. I'm not against McIntyre becoming the WWE champion. I'm not. I think it might be a hot take for a lot of people. But at the end of the day, I don't think this affects Cody Rhodes at all. And as more information has come out about Cody Rhodes as far as his plans leading into WrestleMania, I mean, a lot of people were thinking that we were going to see Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns at this year's WrestleMania. It seems like that's not even going to happen. I think Cody Rhodes put a stop to that. I think they probably felt, or at least Cody Rhodes felt, it wasn't going to be as special as it was when he beat Roman Reigns for the Universal Championship. So it looks like that idea right now between Rhodes and Reigns at WrestleMania is in fact scrapped. So I'm not against that. Now, I will say this. I like the idea of the storyline here heating up between Cody Rhodes and Jacob Fatu. I said it then, and I'm going to say it now. I think Jacob Fatu is probably one of the greatest acquisitions that WWE has gotten in a very long time. This guy has a very bright future. This guy is a future World Heavyweight Champion, future Universal Champion. I mean, Jacob Fatu is a force to be reckoned with. And the fact that now we see Cody Rhodes going up against this monster, if you will, this Samoan werewolf, with the likes of Jacob Fatu, it's really going to test Cody Rhodes. This is not, I don't think Cody Rhodes has faced anybody on the likes of a Jacob Fatu. It's not taking anything away from Drew McIntyre. It's not taking anything away from, John Cena. It's not taking anything away from Randy Orton or anybody else like that. But Jacob Fatu is a force to be reckoned with, man, to be honest with you. And people can call it how they want it, but he is a force to be reckoned with on the SmackDown roster for sure. And now we have Cody Rhodes seemingly chasing after Drew McIntyre once again, or chasing after Drew to try to regain the Universal title. So now we have Cody Rhodes chasing the Universal Championship. And I know a lot of people are patiently waiting for Cody Rhodes to turn heel. I'm not saying it would affect Cody Rhodes. I don't know if we are actually going to see this infamous heel turn from Cody Rhodes. And I'm not going to sit here and say never, because we saw the heel turn finally from John Cena. But right now, I think things are at status quo with Cody Rhodes being a babyface for Friday Night SmackDown. So I'm excited to see how this plays out. There was a match announced for Saturday night's main event between Rhodes and Jacob Fatu. That's taking place this Saturday. It should be a hell of a match. It should be an absolute hell of a match. It should be a barn burner match. And to be honest with you, I'm torn between who's going to win this matchup. Is it going to be Cody Rhodes or is it going to be Jacob Fatu? And now I'll also remind you, when Fatu was written off TV, he was attacked backstage, and still no one truly knows at the very moment who was the person that attacked Jacob Fatu backstage. Was it Drew McIntyre, or was it Cody Rhodes? Nobody really knows at the very moment right now. Plus, Rhodes does have a history with the Bloodline. So again, is this something where maybe Rhodes did attack Jacob Fatu, and maybe this is something where maybe Cody Rhodes might turn heel? It's a possibility. I mean, at this point, anything's a possibility. But again, I'm liking the way the story is playing out here between Rhodes and Jacob Fatu. We also see newly crowned Universal Champion Drew McIntyre. I think McIntyre is going to do a fantastic job with the Universal Championship. Obviously, he's waiting for the winner of the Fatal 4-Way, which has Trick Williams, Sami Zayn, has Randy Orton, and it also has, I'm missing another name. I don't know why. I know it's Zayn, Trick Williams, Randy Orton, and man, I can't really remember the name of the other person. I know I just said something about it. That will face off in the Fatal 4-Way, and the winner of that will move on to face Drew McIntyre for the Universal Championship. So again, it's going to be interesting. And we also have Trick Williams. We got Trick Williams a part of that as well, that Fatal 4-Way, which again, Trick Williams, I'm telling you right now, I think Trick, just the persona of Trick, the entrance music, I mean, the fans gravitate towards Trick Williams. I think Trick Williams could be the future of Friday Night SmackDown, to be honest with you. I think he's going to do a fantastic job on Friday Night SmackDown. The other thing I want to talk about, too, a little bit here is the U.S. Open Challenge. Number one, I thought this by far was match of the night. And I'm telling you guys right now, man, Leon Slater, I think he's 22, maybe 23 years old. He's got a lot of time left, man, a lot of time to learn. That match that he had with Carmelo Hayes was absolutely incredible. Leon Slater, man, he's incredible. And the matches that he's had, the match he had with Javon Evans was insane. And Javon Evans is, again, fantastic superstar and a great call-up to the main roster, specifically for Monday Night Raw. My issue with this, though, and it's not necessarily on Leon Slater. My issue with this is the fact that we see Leon Slater on Friday Night SmackDown. And then we don't see Leon Slater, who is TNA's X Division champion, on their debut episode of AMC on Thursday night. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, there was visa issues out the wazoo. I get that. But my issue with that is there's visa issues, but he's over in London on Friday Night SmackDown. Was this something where SmackDown pulled Leon Slater from TNA and put him on Friday Night SmackDown to accept Carmelo Hayes' U.S. Open Challenge? And if that's the case, man, TNA dropped the ball big time on that. Because not for nothing, Leon Slater, from what I understand, was actually scheduled to have a match on TNA's debut episode on AMC. and that was not the case. I also believe that he was also not a part of Genesis that took place this past Saturday. So again, I don't know what's going on. And TNA, I gave my insight on TNA, and by the way, for you guys that checked out the YouTube video and my epic rant on TNA, I appreciate it very much. And like I said, if you guys are new here to the podcast, make sure you guys go over to YouTube and subscribe, man, and turn on that notification bell, because we're going to have a lot more content going out on the YouTube side of things here relatively soon. But despite the point of that, I think Leon Slater is an incredible talent. I think the fact that they put on a banger match, meaning himself and Carmelo Hayes, I think Hayes has done a fantastic job with the U.S. Open Challenge and being United States champion. And the fact that he's going to continue these U.S. Open challenges, I think it's fantastic. And we've seen some fantastic matches from this Open Challenge since it came back. I mean, even Sami Zayn. I think it was Sami Zayn and Javon Evans. Fantastic match. So, again, I'm happy that SmackDown is going to continue the U.S. Open Challenge, because for the longest time, as of late, the best thing that we've seen on SmackDown that was at least interesting was the U.S. Open Challenge. So, there we go. The other thing I want to talk about too, man, and this probably falls into place with Monday Night Raw. I will tell you guys, I don't understand all of a sudden this resurgence of the women's tag team division. I don't understand it. I really don't. I understand this whole thing with Flair and Bliss and Lash Legend and Nia Jax, and then on Raw we got Rhea Ripley and Io Sky and Liv Morgan, Roxanne Perez, and Kabuki Warriors and Bayley and Lyra Valkyria and so on and so forth. I don't understand all of a sudden the uprise in the women's tag team division in WWE. I don't understand it, and I really, honestly, I don't get it. I'm not sitting here saying that I'm shitting on it and saying, oh, it's a bad idea for WWE. I don't understand it. And not for nothing, with all due respect to the women's tag team titles, having main roster talent, and I'm not just talking regular main roster talent, you got primetime players going after these women tag team titles. Hell, right now, you got 2 primetime players right now in the women's division that are currently the women's tag team champions in Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. That takes away from the women's main event scene that's right now honestly hurting. We don't know what's going on with Stephanie Vaquer. I think she's injured. She might be out for a little while. We don't know how long. And Jade Cargill literally ain't doing jack shit with her women's title, which we'll talk about here in a couple minutes. But it takes away from the women's main roster scene, bro, from whether it's the Women's World Championship or the Women's Universal Championship. And obviously, yeah, injuries are hurting the women's division as well. Tiffany Stratton's out, former Women's Universal Champion, and we also have Bianca Belair also out with injury as well. So it does affect the main roster scene. But these women tag teams that they're creating, it is taking away from the main roster women's titles, in my honest opinion, because you have primetime players, like I mentioned, in these makeshift tag teams. You have Liv Morgan, former women's world champion, again, in a tag team with Roxanne Perez. Rhea Ripley, former women's world champion, in a tag team with also former women's world champion Io Sky. Again, it takes away from the women's main event scene and the women's main roster titles. Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. Right now, not for nothing, they could split up and they can both go after Jade Cargill for the Women's Universal Championship. I know Jordynne Grace right now seems like she has her sights set on Jade, and that match is probably most likely going to happen here soon, hopefully for the Women's Universal Championship. But like I said, I mean, it's taking away from the main roster scene right now for the main titles for the women, whether it be the Women's World Championship or the Women's Universal Championship on Friday Night SmackDown. It's taking away from that, and right now that is hurting these main titles for the women on the roster for SmackDown and Raw. So hopefully that will change. And speaking of Jade Cargill, there was some news that came out about Jade. Jade Cargill had put out this statement that she doesn't really... Well, people were upset and pissed off that Jade has not defended the title, or she's held the title for 77 days or almost 80 days, and she's yet to defend the title. I can understand the frustration, to be honest with you. And I will be honest with you. I think Jade is still green as grass, bro. I'm just going to keep it a buck. I think she's green as grass, very one-dimensional, and honestly very lackadaisical in the ring. Obviously, is she built like a powerhouse? Yes, she is. But I think WWE honestly screwed up when they brought her in and fast-tracked her right to the main roster. Jade needed to go to NXT. I understand that she was worried about the fact that she was getting up there in age and the fact of the longevity that she might have as far as competing inside the square circle. I understand that. But she also came into professional wrestling in a very late stage, if you will. I think it was like her early 30s or late 20s when she wanted to get started into professional wrestling. And when she was with AEW, obviously they fast-tracked her right to the TBS championship, and she had that long reign as being TBS champion. And then she left AEW, and they instantly brought her into the main roster. Jade needed to go to NXT, bro. And there's main roster talent now that has obviously wrestled a lot longer than Jade, that had wished when they came into WWE they went through NXT developmental program, most notably AJ Styles. You can ask AJ Styles right now, and he would tell you honestly that he wished that he started with NXT and then worked his way up to the main roster. And this is a guy that's been wrestling way longer than Jade Cargill by a landslide. So I think them fast-tracking Jade right to the main roster, obviously it was a dig towards Tony Khan and AEW because it's more or less a ha-ha, we stole one of your talents, and now they're working with us. I get it. But honestly, bro, if we're comparing and contrasting AEW talent that left from AEW to go over to WWE, Jade's at the bottom of the list for me. And not for nothing, to me, honestly, if you were going to fast-track somebody, it would have been Ricky Starks, bro. Honestly, or Ethan Page to the main roster. I mean, look how long it took Jordynne Grace to get called up from NXT to finally get onto the main roster, bro. And Jordynne Grace, by a landslide, is more of a superior athlete and superior wrestler than Jade Cargill. Honestly. And I can understand, like I said, the frustration with talent or people saying, hey, are you going to shit or get off the pot and defend this goddamn title? If not, the hell with you. You know, Jade, I don't really know, bro. Jade, I know, I feel like they're waiting to bring back Bianca Belair, which, again, I don't really know what the hell is going on with Bianca Belair. The last time I heard is that she injured her finger a while back ago. So I don't know what the hell the holdup is for Bianca, to be honest with you, from what I heard. So, again, I think they're trying to wait for some kind of matchup here, possibly at WrestleMania, between Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair. Now, that's not stating that Bianca is ready to go here soon and won't show up or return at the Royal Rumble. The Rumble's in about 2 weeks from now. So I could see a scenario where maybe Bianca does return and has her sights set on Jade Cargill's Universal Championship, and maybe that's the way or direction that we're going into this year's WrestleMania in Las Vegas. But again, that's still yet to be seen if, in fact, that Bianca is actually going to be medically cleared. You know what I'm saying? So again, and Jade even made comments that she doesn't really want to defend the title against Jordynne Grace, or what Jade says as far as people that are not ready for that opportunity, or she feels as if they're not fit for an opportunity at her Women's Universal Championship. Well, bro, that's not your decision. It's not. You haven't even been with WWE that long to make those kind of decisions as far as who you want to wrestle. And I think that's a problem in itself, is that Jade needs to defend the title. And I think by now, people can slowly understand at this point that she just can't wrestle. Jade can't wrestle. She can't. And if you're a Jade Cargill fan out there, I hate to break your heart, man, but she is green as grass. And I think WWE severely screwed up with just fast-tracking her to the main roster. Jade needed to go through NXT developmental, bro. That's just the bottom line of it. When it comes down to brass tacks, she needed to go through NXT developmental. Because if I'm comparing her to other female wrestlers on NXT, there's other female wrestlers on NXT right now that can surpass her in the ring. By a landslide, bro. Jordynne Grace shouldn't have been down there as long as she has. JC Jane. I think Blake Monroe, or a.k.a. Mariah May, is a way better wrestler than Jade Cargill, in my honest opinion. I mean, there's a bunch of names down there, bro, that I think could probably out-wrestle Jade Cargill any day of the week. And I'm not trying to shit on Jade. Like I said, I think she's a phenomenal athlete, and she's built like a brick shithouse, bro. But if you can't cut a promo, you can't compete in that ring, maybe you have no place in the pro wrestling space, bro. I'm just keeping it real. And honestly, the way she wrestles, bro, I'm surprised nobody's legitimately got seriously injured with the way that she wrestles people. I mean, a lot of people even had the same gripes about Nia Jax with the fact that she was literally injuring people every time they stepped in the ring with her. And finally, she figured it out and, slowed the pace down a little bit, and she wasn't injuring, other female talents on the roster to a point where, it could be career-ending. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look what she did to Becky Lynch. She pretty much broke Becky's nose right there. Her nose was all busted wide open and everything else, and people have complained about the fact that Nia has injured certain talents in her matches. So, again, she slowed down. She bettered her craft, and I think Nia Jax has gotten a hell of a lot better, in my honest opinion. I'm not really necessarily agreeing with the whole tag team with her and Lash Legend, but I think as far as an individual superstar, I think Nia Jax is severely underrated. I think Nia Jax could run roughshod on that female roster on Friday Night SmackDown. And I do believe that Nia Jax is a better wrestler in ring than Jade Cargill. I'm sorry. And I'm not trying to shit on her, man, and say that she's a bad wrestler, but if I'm looking from bell to bell, Jade's at the bottom of my list, man. She is. I'm sorry. And I could say the same thing about Maxine Dupree, if we're being honest. Dupree, again, still feels green as grass, bro. It feels like slow motion when she wrestles. So it's not just Jade. So for those people, you're just picking on Jade Cargill, bro. No, I'm not. I said the same thing about Maxine Dupree. I'm getting sick and tired of those goddamn matches between her and Becky Lynch, bro. This shit has gotten old, and the well has run dry, folks. It's getting old. So, again, that was probably my other gripe as far as Friday Night SmackDown. Hopefully they can figure out what they're going to do with Jade Cargill and the Women's Universal Championship. And then we also get the qualifying matches, which all those matches, the Fatal 4-Way will take place at Saturday night's main event, and the winner of that will move on to face Drew McIntyre at the Royal Rumble. So, out of all the names that are in the Fatal 4-Way, the number one name that pops in my head as far as winning that Fatal 4-Way would be Randy Orton. I think Orton versus McIntyre at the Rumble speaks more to me than McIntyre and Sami Zayn. I know Zayn is trying to do whatever he can to try to become at least one time Universal Champion. I don't know if it is his time yet. I could be wrong. But I would probably, a safe bet for me would probably be Randy Orton. I think Orton coming back into the fold, a lot of fans are gravitated towards Randy Orton. And honestly, for what it's worth, I would not mind or be opposed to seeing Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre for the Universal title. I think it'd be a hell of a match. But again, we're also getting close to the road to WrestleMania. And it all starts with the Royal Rumble. And the Rumble, again, is one of the WWE's big 4 pay-per-views of the year. It's, the Rumble's all over the place. It's going to be in Saudi Arabia. I think the start time is roughly 2 p.m. Eastern. So it will be an earlier PLE for most folks. But again, man, I think the Rumble, like I said, is the first stop on the road to WrestleMania. So obviously a lot of intrigue, a lot of story is going to come out of this year's Rumble. And it's going to be intriguing. We're going to see, obviously, returns, maybe even debuts. We could see the return of Chris Jericho. And then, again, matches are starting to slowly pile up for this year's Royal Rumble. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't think SmackDown was a disappointment. I think SmackDown is slowly but surely getting better over time. But I'm not sitting here saying that they're surpassing Monday Night Raw or the best wrestling show out there. No. They're slowly trying to find their rhythm here where they can start producing better weekly episodic television for Friday Night SmackDown, especially with them being 3 hours. And they had to facilitate those 3 hours with good segments, good storylines, good matches to get the fans excited and interested in watching SmackDown every single Friday night from 8 to 11. So, again, it has to get the fans intrigued, bro. And I think SmackDown is trying to do whatever they can to get the fans excited about watching SmackDown's product every Friday night for SmackDown at 8 p.m. Eastern. So, again, I'm excited. I'm excited to see where this goes. Obviously, we are close to being on the road to Royal Rumble. I think we got another 2 weeks, roughly, until we get to the Rumble. I think the Rumble's on the 31st at the end of January. So, I'm excited, man. Obviously, the Rumble is one of the big 4 pay-per-views of WWE every year. It always brings a lot of excitement and especially intrigue going into this year's WrestleMania. So, I'm excited, man. Hopefully, we'll see some returns. We might even see the debut of Obafemi. He might show up at the Rumble as well. So, again, it's whatever happens at the Rumble is slowly going to tell you how things are going to play out leading into this year's WrestleMania. And I think that's one of the reasons why the Rumble is so special for a lot of pro wrestling fans. So I'm definitely excited and definitely intrigued with how this year's Royal Rumble is going to play out. So, again, man, SmackDown wasn't a disappointment. Obviously, things could have gotten better. But like I said before, man, even when I mentioned about Cody Rhodes, it looks like the Nightmare might also have a werewolf or Samoan werewolf problem. And honestly, I'm locked in for it. I think Cody Rhodes versus Jacob Fatu is going to be an incredible match. at this weekend's Saturday night's main event. So again, SmackDown didn't disappoint. I thought it was definitely a good show, and I'm definitely excited for next week's Friday Night SmackDown. But with that being said, though, this is my review of Friday Night SmackDown. I hope you guys are out there staying safe, be careful, and remember, stay classic. Peace.